Good morning. The topic for this morning's coffee chat is turning down roles. I had a question in the group a couple of weeks ago about how to turn down roles, when is it appropriate to turn down roles, and that is something that I know some of you are sitting there thinking, well, God, what a nice question to be able to ask. I wish I was getting roles or getting auditions that I could turn down. And yes, you might be at the point where you're like, I don't feel like I'm even getting enough auditions to turn things down. And we've all been there. Um, and that's a totally separate thing to talk about, which we can and will. But at a certain point in your career, you may get to the point where you feel like you need to move to the next level in your career. Or you may be at the point where you're just so busy that you can't accept everything or different circumstances come up. So let's talk about a reason that you might turn down an audition or turn down a role, okay? So there are lots. First of all, what I want to say is always, if there's some sort of scheduling issue, like you're going on vacation or you're taking some time off to be with family, always book out with your agent and your manager if you have one. I feel like that is just bottom line for relationships with your representatives is that they need to know when you know that you're not going to be available, they need to know as soon as you know, okay? That way, you never have to feel badly if they get you an audition during a time that you knew you weren't available for, and you have to turn it down for that reason. That is just the worst. It's happened to me before. I've forgotten to book out. I was taking a quick trip to Atlanta. I forgot to book out, and I got an audition, and I just felt so terrible because your representatives are working for you every day, and they're expecting to be at those auditions when you get them. Good morning, Khalid. Good to see you. So, rule number one, always book out. Now, why would you need to turn down an audition? The second thing I want to say is that I feel like it's better to turn down an audition than to audition for something and then book it and then decide you don't want to do it, okay? And so for that reason, I want you to get really clear about your values and about the things that you're willing to do and the things that you're not, so that you can be really clear about which auditions you choose to go on and you don't have to waste anyone's time. I can tell you from experience being a producer that when a producer goes through the audition process and selects someone that they really want to be in the role, it is crushing when that person says, oh, I can't do it, for a reason that they probably knew about before the audition. So it's just a waste of everybody's time if you audition for something that you know you wouldn't do. So make that a habit to avoid that as well. All right, so reasons that you might turn down an audition. It might be for a brand that you're not cool with, right? I would not be in a commercial for a tobacco product, for example. So why would I go for an audition for that, right? I know now that I wouldn't do it. So let's not waste anybody's time auditioning, okay? Maybe there's a point of view presented in the piece that you don't agree with. Maybe it's depicting a woman in a light that is not strong, or maybe it's a political ad for a point of view that you can't agree with. Maybe it's part of a pharmaceutical company or a product that you don't can't really get down with. So that's another reason, right? That's something that you can really tell before the audition, okay? Maybe it's a character that you don't feel comfortable portraying. Maybe there's a graphic sex scene or some type of nudity that you're not comfortable with. And all actors should think about these questions early before you really need to make the decision. Get really clear on your values in advance, okay? Maybe it's about the pay. Maybe you're at the point in your career where you've decided, I'm not going to do any more non-paid work. Maybe it's about the union status. I am a SAG-AFTRA actor and I won't do non-union work. So that's not something that I would accept, okay? So get really clear on your standards and your preferences now, and it makes it easier to say yes or no to the audition, okay? Now, the other thing that comes up sometimes is that you're looking to jump tiers. So I'll give you an example. I was at a point in my career a couple years ago where I had done a lot of co-star work, and I really wanted to jump to the next level of guest star. And I really felt like I wanted to really devote my time and energy to really going after those size roles. And so I told my agent and my manager that the only co-star roles that I wanted to audition for were ones that were the more meaty co-stars, right? I didn't want to go in for officer number one again. No more roles with no names. I really want to go in for co-stars that are really kind of moving the story forward or have a fun little scene, something that would at least be good for my reel, right? And so they were super clear on that. And they were able to adjust the way that they're submitting me. If I did get an audition, they didn't even ask. They were just able to say, you know what, she's not available for that. Thank you so much. But it saves everybody's time when the actor is really clear about what she is willing to do. Okay? All right. So how do you turn down an audition or a role gracefully? We'll get to roles in a minute. Before I get to that, there are some times when you audition and you think you would do the role, and then you get more information after having booked it, and you find that you need to turn it down. For example, a client of mine recently had an instance where she booked this role. She was completely willing to do a non-paid role, but then she gets the job and she finds out that there are a ton of rehearsals. And so the time commitment for this is a lot longer than the producers and the director led her to believe when she was auditioning. In those cases, I feel like it's completely within your rights, and you should absolutely have a conversation about that. And, be upfront with them about the reason. Be very clear and professional and polite as you're having the conversation, but you should let them know, I was completely willing to do this work unpaid and even audition for it. But I wasn't aware that there would be such a large time commitment in terms of rehearsals. I'm a professional actor, I usually come to set and I'm willing to do a couple of rehearsals, but a rehearsal every night for a couple of weeks is not something that is within my budget of time for this project, especially since it's unpaid. Are there any provisions for pay for rehearsals? I have a job, that kind of thing. So just be willing to have a conversation, an open conversation with the people who are in charge of the project. I'm sure they can identify with what you're talking about. They probably are doing this on the side too and have jobs. If they're not open to talking to you about it, then that's data for you. It might be good that you're discovering this early in the process. This might not be someone that you want to collaborate with. If a producer is asking an actor to do work for free, then they should really be open to meeting the actor halfway in terms of his or her needs for the project and in terms of time, and really making it streamlined, okay? So just look out for that, all right? Now, to transition over to how to turn down an audition gracefully. It really, again, goes back to being honest and being considerate and letting the person know as soon as you have the information, but being super gracious, right? A friend of mine recently reached out and wanted me to do a project that was non-paid. And I won't do co-stars, but I will occasionally help out friends and do some work, help out with their projects without pay. It's completely fine. I love acting. It's an opportunity to act. It's an opportunity to help out my friends. Great. However, I don't have the bandwidth to audition for those projects. If it's something that you want to look at my reel and, cast me in, great. But I'm not going to go for an audition for a free project. And so I just let the producer know that. I said, this is awesome. I really love what you're doing. This sounds like such a fun project. I don't have the bandwidth right now. I'm really busy. I don't have the bandwidth to audition for non-paid jobs at this point in my career. But I do have a reel. Check out AsiaRay.com. There's a lot of comedy on there. let me know if I'm a fit, and if I am, I'd be happy to help you out. So that's a gracious way to turn down an audition, but say that you're available to do a project, okay? If you're turning it down for a reason that we've talked about, you can feel free to be upfront about the reason, and let them know you're not a fit for this particular project, but you'd love to be kept in the loop about things in the future. It's not anything personal. It's just a standard that you have. I'm a union actor, and so I've made the decision not to do any non-union work anymore. Or I don't feel comfortable doing Unity at this point in my career for a role of this size, but I would love to work with you on the future on something else. Please keep me posted. Okay? So hopefully that answers some questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment on this blog, and I'll get to, or comment on this post, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. And I hope that helps.